talk show that lets you, the viewer, choose our winners. I'm your host, Jacob Polacheck, and we've got a tremendous show for you today. As always, be sure to get on Sided.co and download the Sided Debates app to post your arguments and climb up that leaderboard. Shout out to last week's winner, true hotel guru Bob Roush, for standing atop the Sided leaderboard and taking home a $25 Amazon gift card. For our first debate today, we'll be talking NBA Finals. With the Heat knocking off the Boston Celtics on Sunday, we now have an NBA Finals matchup. The number 5 seeded Miami Heat will take on the number 1 seed Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals. Led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the Lakers have rolled through the playoffs, winning all 3 series 4-1. The Miami Heat, led by Jimmy Butler, have only lost 3 games in the playoffs, including a 4-1 series win over the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks in the second round. With Game 1 set to tip off Wednesday, I'm joined by Matt Manier and Jerome Sweeney here to give their picks.
We're going to go back to 2014. So LeBron James is coming off his 4-year Heatle stint down in Miami. Heat general manager Pat Riley goes, leaving Miami is the worst decision you are ever going to make in your career. Here we are 6 years later. We have the Miami Heat, who's making their first playoff finals appearance since LeBron left, and the Los Angeles Lakers making their first playoff appearance since 2000, or finals appearance since 2010, I believe. So the way that they got here is, obviously, LeBron, Anthony Davis, but in reality, they have their depth on their team is just remarkable. They have 4 quality big men that can go up there. They can match up really well against a Miami Heat team who's smaller, who doesn't really have all the weapons and the height that the Lakers have. And then the way to combat Miami's 3-point shooting would be you get the big man up there, just rebound the ball and outlet it out. I think it's going to be a very good series, but I think just the way that they match up, I think there's just too much size on the Lakers for the Heat to handle.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a great series. You got a lot of good shooters on Miami, such as Tyler Hero, who we saw just dominated in the last round. And you got Duncan Robinson, who shot 44% from 3 whole year. I believe it was top 3. You got other guys like Jay Crowder, who's a great shooter, and as well as Goran Dragic, and even Jimmy Butler add him to the mix. And I'd obviously argue that the Heat have more depth than the Lakers. You got at least 5 or 6 guys that can drop double digits on any given night. And you got some great defense. You got Jimmy Butler, who is a great player. I remember watching him. I'm from Chicago, and I always watch him on the Bulls. It's fun to watch. You got Jay Crowder. You got Goran Dragic. All very good defenders. And I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. You got Jimmy Butler. You got Jay Crowder, who can guard LeBron. And then Bam Adebayo, he's a real force in the paint. He can get Anthony Davis some troubles. And I think one more thing is that if the Heat can limit like LeBron and AD, one of the two, they'll have a really good shot of winning this series. But if one of the two, we can either go for 30 points a game. So it's going to be tough for the Heat to try to pull this off.
I mean, and then, another really key factor in this, finals is, experience in the finals. Anthony Davis this is his first finals. Jimmy Butler's first finals. This is LeBron James's 10th finals. This is Rajon Rondo's been here before. Dwight Howard's been here before. The Lakers have the veteran depth of their team, and they have the postseason experience. The Heat only have Eric Spoelstra, their coach, who, he's been in 4 finals before with LeBron. Whereas, the Lakers, Frank Vogel, he hasn't really, he doesn't have the finals experience. So I think it really depends on LeBron James and the veteran leadership. And they have Rajon Rondo coming off the bench. He's averaging 7 assists a game. He's shooting 45% from the 3. He's 8th all-time in NBA assists. That is veteran leadership coming. That is good quality depth coming off the bench, just as, a guard position. He's just been balling out in the bubble.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for some of the Heat players to guard some of these veteran players, such as you got J.R. Smith on the team and some other guys like that who can really get off to a good start with shooting the ball. And I think it's going to be tough for Miami Heat. They got a good 3-point defense, but if the Lakers get hot, it's going to be really tough for them to bounce back. I think.
Yeah, I mean, just the Heat, sure, Heat. I mean, and just LeBron James is known for his clutch playoff moments. You know, we all remember the block against Iguodala. I mean, he's just there's something about just the way that LeBron carries himself through the playoffs that just becomes the best player on the court. You know, he makes it known that, you know, if he's not scoring points or passing the ball, I mean, he's making a solid defensive play. I mean, he wants to win, which I think the Miami Heat want to win, but I think there is just so much size and depth on that Lakers team and experience where they're just going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be any team with LeBron it's going to be a tough fight.
I mean, I think Bam Adebayo is going to be dealing with foul trouble in every game early because he's got, you know, Marcus Morris, you know, JaVale McGee just as the backups coming in off the bench when Anthony Davis goes out. I mean, those are physical players, and he's going to, like, the Miami Heat are going to need Myers Leonard to have the best 4 to 7 games of his life if they want to have a chance in this series, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be fun to watch Pat Riley go against LeBron, see if he can hopefully get a win against him. We'll see, but I'm really excited for this matchup.
Yeah, it should be a good one. We'll throw it back to commercial.
You may not hear it at first,
That was everything, right?
but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Now they're beating us on the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson.
Hello?
Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Hey, it's my girl.
You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. For our second debate, we're talking college football. On Saturday, Mississippi State, led by a 623-yard, 5-touchdown performance from quarterback KJ Costello, the Mississippi State Bulldogs knocked off number 6-ranked LSU in a stunning 44-34 win. With the win, many are calling the Bulldogs a legit contender to win the SEC, but what do our panelists think? I'm here with Emma House and Nick Sola to debate.
All right, SEC. I mean, I think nobody really expected Mississippi State to be LSU, but do you think that they are going to actually be a contender this year?
I think you got to say yes. I mean, the way I look at it, LSU was a top contender. You know, they're ranked 6th in the nation, definitely top 2 or top 3 in the SEC, and Mike Leach and the Mississippi State Bulldogs just showed that they can compete with other teams. You know, we know it's a big field in the SEC and they have a tough schedule, but they're bringing something out in the SEC offense that I don't think has been seen before with the air raid offense, and they just have shown that they can score the football, so it'll be interesting. But what do you think?
You know, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and say they aren't. I think it's just beginner's luck this year. I think that it's no doubt that Mississippi State definitely had a phenomenal game because, like, they were just on fire looking at the highlights and the game and everything. I don't really think that LSU showed up to play. I thought that they were kind of just blowing off Mississippi State and being like, oh, it's not that big of a team. We can beat them. And then they came out with, you know,
Absolutely.
this many rushing yards and passing yards and all that and everything. I don't think they're going to be a contender, though. I mean, KJ Costello threw like 600 passing yards or something like that.
Right.
And
Crazy.
I think especially once you get to the end of the season, you're not going to see that a lot. You're going to see, you know, the 100 passing yards, 200 passing yards. I don't think that we're going to see as the team that's showed up last week. I don't think we're going to see that near the end of the season. And I think teams like Bama and Georgia and Auburn and like all them, I think they're going to show up at the end and be like, hey, this is our conference.
Yeah, I think the Mississippi State game plan definitely was not expected by Coach O on LSU or really anyone in the SEC. Like I said, they run that air raid offense. SEC is known for, you know, big defensive teams, always defensive strong. And we'll have to see if the air raid plan is just going to be something fluky or if it's something that is going to actually be hard to contain. What I do know is that Mike Leach is the real deal, and he's a competitor and a winner. And he'll have to go up against some tough competition, but I think he has the mentality to certainly get it done. So
I think one thing that's for certain is like if Mississippi State wants to stay a contender, I think they definitely do need to work on their defense just a little bit because there were a lot of times where LSU did get through. And that's not saying that LSU needs to like not work on their defense because that was just a mess. But you know, I think that there are some stuff that needs to be tweaked. But it is the first game of the season. I mean, you never know, and especially with times like this,
I mean,
you know, anything can happen.
Right, absolutely. I mean, 620 passing yards in the first game, that's definitely unheard of, especially against LSU. But yeah, I mean, KJ Costello, he could be the real deal. I mean, he's already leading the league in passing in week 1, but yeah, the biggest thing I think is just the strength of schedule. Mississippi State has to play Auburn, Texas A&M, obviously Alabama. Alabama is the man to beat, but there are certainly plenty of ranked teams in the SEC that are going to be tough competition where Mike Leach will have to prove himself.
So do you think that with this continuing season, do you think LSU is going to step up, or do you think they're going to fall off the bandwagon?
It's it's just the first game, and it's not like it was a horrible loss. They still have plenty of room to get back, but with the 10-game season and you're only playing in conference, there's a little room for error. So if they're thinking college football playoff, they probably have to win out. If they're thinking win SEC, then they're still in the running. They just have to, get big wins such as an Alabama or Texas A&M.
I think the ones to beat this year are going to be Texas A&M and Bama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a good competition between the SEC for sure.
Yeah, Alabama is ranked number 2 right now, so they're always the top dog. It's just how it is in the SEC. But it's definitely going to be entertaining. We're talking a big offense, air raid against, teams like Bama with huge defenses. So top offense versus top defense. It'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out.
I'm excited. So we are going to throw it to commercial, and then we'll be right back.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Now they're beating us on the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson. Hello? Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. Do you itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Hey, it's my girl.
You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas. A great place to be you.
Welcome back. With the MLB playoffs ready to kick off later today and a playoff field larger than any we've seen before, experts all over the country are making their picks for the World Series. I'm joined by Marina Saver for our final debate to give her take on who could win it all this year. Her answers might surprise you.
I honestly think, and I know that this is a hot take, but I really think if any team has the possibility to be a real Cinderella story, I have to go with Toronto. First and foremost, this team is, it's a different team than they had in 2015, 2016, but Toronto is no stranger to October magic, to postseason magic. You just have to throw it back to Game 5 of the 2015 ALDS with Bautista's bat flip, and that just answers that right there. But for this year and this, especially the wild card round that they're about to play versus Tampa Bay, I think that they can, especially since it's only a 3-game series, I just really think that they have an opportunity to kind of come from behind and take that series and move on to the ALDS. And Toronto, what has worked so well for them over the course of this shortened season is their young hitting. They have some young hitters in Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, Biggio, who've really stepped up, and then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Teoscar Hernandez, who are more tenured players, have also stepped up in a big way. Teoscar Hernandez has been an offensive nightmare for the Blue Jays, really. And if you're talking about the first-round matchup against the Rays, Hernandez bats over .350 versus the Rays. So he's also very good against them. So if we're talking about a team that has the opportunity to kind of be that Cinderella story, kind of come from behind and make it farther than anyone really thought, I think it could be Toronto, especially considering the fact that I know that they're an 8 in the bracket, but they only missed out on being the 5 by 1 game to the New York Yankees, who everyone thought would be a shoo-in for the top of that division, a shoo-in for the AL pennant. So I really think that the Blue Jays are a phenomenal young team, and I think if any team can do it, it would be Toronto.
Now, Marina, what are you thinking about the NL? Who are some teams in the NL that might surprise people?
That might surprise some people. I think the Reds, and I know I kind of took this side of Toronto and Cincinnati in a debate that we did a couple weeks ago, but I think what I was saying in that debate was that the Reds really needed to get hot, and they really had a great core of players who just hadn't done what we'd expected them to thus far. And in the latter half of the season, they really did step up, and they ended up making it not even as the 8. They stepped up and made it as that 7 wild card seed. So I think if we're talking about a team that can come from behind in the National League and maybe give some trouble there where we didn't necessarily expect trouble to happen, I think that would be the Cincinnati Reds, absolutely. The Brewers, I think, are going to be done round 1. I know that they're the other 8 seed, but I don't think the Brewers will be as surprising as maybe Toronto in the AL or Cincinnati in the NL.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Brewers are my surprise contender for this NL playoffs. And when you have 2 guys, Keston Hiura and Christian Yelich, your 2 best players, Hiura hit .212 this year, Yelich hit .205, and the Brewers were still able to sneak into the playoffs. I know they have a first-round matchup against the Dodgers, but I'm picking them to go far in the NL playoffs. I don't know about you, Marina.
Yeah, I think I think that definitely is more of a hot take in my opinion than Toronto, just because, again, like you said, they're two stars and Christian Yelich is not playing like they're paying him. Yeah, 205 is pretty ridiculous for him, just considering that, the beginning of the season, I honestly thought that he was going to be a shoo-in for the batting title, which obviously did not happen. But I don't know, that is an interesting take. I agree. I think last year I would have taken Milwaukee as maybe kind of a hot take, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with Toronto and Cincinnati, and you can stick with Milwaukee if you want.
Now, Marina, are there any teams in this year's playoffs that you think are being overrated, that are going in with maybe inflated records because it's only a 60-game year? Are there any teams that you think could disappoint?
Yeah, I honestly think it might be the Yankees. I want to say the Dodgers, just because they always have a habit of choking in the postseason, but I want to say the Yankees and honestly maybe even the Rays, but I'll stick with the Yankees because they will always, just by virtue of being the Yankees, be overhyped, be overrated. People will always talk about them as, oh yeah, the Yankees have the star power, the Yankees have this, that, and the other because they're the Yankees. But the fact that honestly, they can't stay healthy, which is another thing that I was worried about at the beginning of the season, and they didn't. They not only did not finish at the top of the AL East like everyone expected them to, but they only missed out by one game. Toronto only finished one game behind them, and so they only barely missed going in as that wild card spot. So I think the Yankees, I'm looking for Cleveland to beat them round one, and I think that will be a pretty easy matchup, especially considering Cleveland's star power this year.
Now, we've talked about the teams that might impress you, might disappoint. Let's hear it. What is your World Series prediction? Who are the two teams and who wins it all?
Oh gosh, I am less certain about the American League than I am about the National League. As a Diamondbacks fan, again, I do not want to say the Dodgers, but I just really think that they are going to have a really quick road to the World Series, so I think that will be the NL team. And as for the American League, I don't know. I'm going to say right now the A's. I think the A's can do it. But I also think that the Chicago White Sox could be a potential upset with the 2-7 seed there. So definitely Los Angeles for the National League. And if I had to pick one, I will go Oakland from the AL.
I think I'm going to go the Yankees in the AL. I think that Cole is an ace, that he's going to lead them there. And in the NL, I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres. You got Manny Machado, you got Tatis Jr. That team is loaded. And I know that they're in the same division as the Dodgers, but in the playoffs, that doesn't matter. They're going to beat the teams ahead of them, and I think they have a legit chance to make the World Series and maybe even win it all. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to get on Sided, make your picks, climb up that leaderboard, and of course, take a side. For all of us here, I'm Jacob Polacheck, and we'll see you next week.